interview for the podcast. And Sarah, that was a lot of fun. And I just felt as we were doing it, there is so many ways we could go with this, and we could make like 2 and 3 episodes very easily out of this. So thank you for sharing your story. It's diverse, it's interesting, and there's a lot more to it and a lot more to come, I know. But as a little bonus to the podcast, we're including this video content so you can watch it on YouTube. Of course, you can listen to the full podcast on any podcast app. But let me just pick up on something that I wanted to share on the podcast, and we do put this in the show notes, Sarah, and that is some of your favorite female artists. They may be in the business, but give me a couple of names of women who really inspire you.
Honestly, I feel sort of shy saying this, but honestly, Mandy Walker, ACS, ACS, ASC,
See, yep.
it's like right up there, and yeah, even like it's a really beautiful story. My mother, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but my mother turned me on to Mandy's work when Mandy filmed the movie Tracks, and Tracks was playing at the hot. No, a film festival, or it was somewhere in Toronto when it first came out years ago, and it was an article about it in the newspaper here, and my mom was reading it, and she said, "Oh, you've been to Australia, you should really go and see this movie Tracks, but you should also pay attention to the cinematographer, who is a woman." And I just went, "Oh," and then I was like, "Wow, Mandy's amazing." And she is. I've had the privilege of meeting her at the ASC Clubhouse in Los Angeles, that I hope is still safe right now. And really, she's just so talented and a really giving person. And I got to be at the ASC Awards in 2023 in 2022 when she was awarded the feature film award for best cinematography for Elvis, which is the first time a woman has won that best cinematography award as a director of photography. So like, she's such a champion for us and for cinematography. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah. So she would be your number one pick. It doesn't surprise me one bit. Is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to who's really inspiring in their work for you?
Yeah, there's a really lovely friend of mine who is a multidisciplinary artist. She is also a cinematographer and a director and a public speaker, more of a global activist, say. Her name is Elisa Elena Kona. She is Mexican. She's Canadian. She's also in the UK. She's working on a personal project in Syria. She is a Canon stills photography ambassador, and she is doing a project and has been doing an ongoing project of photographing children in war zones that have been decimated, that are obviously safer to enter. But she will do these beautiful things where she will take props and literally drag props in that are these magical balloons and horses and big props and crazy ideas, and set them up against rubble, and then put the child that imagined all of this in their own imagination in real life and photograph it. And she was awarded something recently by a global activism award, I think somewhere in South Africa, for her work. And she's doing really special things. And so I want to give her a shout out.
Give her a shout out. All right. Well, I got one more question, which is just a fun question here, Sarah, for you. We just like to spice it up a little bit here because we get to know you a little bit on the podcast, maybe a little bit more than what you've shared elsewhere, which is great. But I want to use, when you have mentioned in the podcast that your imagination can run away with you and did as a child. Imagine, if you will, having a free weekend and going anywhere you can with whoever you want to. Somebody maybe not in your family. It can't be family. It could be a celebrity. It could be somebody you admire. Who would that be, and where would it be? All expenses paid. You don't even have to worry about your bank balance.
I had it in my head, but I already shared it, so I'm trying to think of somebody
Oh,
else.
okay.
I was going to say Mandy Walker on a movie set in Australia,
Okay.
but no, I have to. I'm so sorry, Chris. I know we prepared for this, and so anywhere else in the world, anywhere else in the world where, um, well, I know we're promoting women here, but the other person that comes into my mind um, is actually George Lucas,
Okay.
because I'm so affectionate to Star Wars. I would just love to sit with him one day and talk about Star Wars and movies.
Okay.
Um, but a female option. Um, uh, oh, I'm sorry. There's
Yes.
so many.
There are so
It's just
many.
like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, okay, I got one. I got one. Can I start again
Okay.
on that?
Yeah,
Okay,
go.
I would sit somewhere in the world, wherever she chose to travel, and listen to her talk and talk with her about all the amazing movies and stories she's written and made. And her name is Ava DuVernay.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
I would I would really thoroughly you know love to contribute to the work that she's doing, but the conversation, I'm sure we would have a shared global village type of conversation on the humanity of the stories that we've worked in, that I've done in documentary, that I'm doing in scripted, that she's done in scripted. Yeah, really fantastic filmmaker. And her most recent film um, is doing fantastic. Um, and
So where would you go?
well, I've noticed on Instagram that she's quite a traveler, and I'm quite a traveler. And I love different parts of Africa or Europe. I would say, let's meet somewhere, you know, in one of those inspiring places and sit in those inspiring places and
Can I
just
be a fly on the wall?
yeah, oh, for sure. Let's let's sit somewhere in, you know, at the Taj Mahal and just look at it, and uh, you know,
Not through a lens.
yeah, and just
Just enjoy it.
talk.
Not working.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
a leisurely weekend.
no, yeah, and just talk and just digest the poetry, you
Okay.
know.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Just remind everybody where they can find you on social media.
Yeah. I do not use Facebook. I am on Instagram at S Thomas Moffat. I am on LinkedIn at S Thomas Moffat, and my website at Sarah Thomas Moffat.
That's easy
And
enough.
that's about it. Yeah.
Super. Well, we'll have those, of course, in the show notes for this YouTube video. So you can click on the links there and also in the show notes for the podcast, which is available on any podcast app. And that will be our season premiere, season 3, episode 1. Sarah Thomas Moffat, thank you so much for spending this time with me.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.